Brett, come stand. We're already starting late. We're going to get yelled at.
Not bad.
Oh, you look fine.
Yeah, you look good. Cool. Good.
Just pull your mic up.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me look at this. Sure will.
Dang, is this what it looks like for tall people?
Did you put 13 in for my preset or no?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to do it real quick. Flip the switch, you said?
Yes, please. Just so we don't
How,
appear late.
how is that me?
I don't know. But just so we don't appear late, we are streaming, so.
Okay. Well, if people ask, tell them my preset was wrong again. How do you zoom in? We're about to start it anyway. Okay. Ready?
I'm ready.
Which one is our open? Sports Tonight open. I'm just going to cut to it. All right, here we go.
Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Welcome into your sports. Welcome into your sports tonight. I'm Bailey Burmaster alongside the one, the only Brett Gilbert. This is your last week with us.
Sorry, my last week.
So
5 days.
We are making the most of it. He owed me a couple Sports Tonight's appearances.
I did.
So I
thought you'd forgotten about that.
No, absolutely not. I thought about it the first thing I woke up this morning and was like, you know what? Brett's coming on Sports Tonight, but I feel like you don't have an issue with it because we're talking everything NFL today.
Yeah, no, if you're going to have me on, today's the day.
So let's talk
Absolutely.
about week one, our recap of everything. What stood out to you this week? What game were you watching? I know you're a Tennessee guy, so if you
Yeah.
want to talk about Will Levis's boo-boo performance.
Yeah,
go for
I am
it.
a Titans fan, so I will harp on that for a moment. I'm like a Will Levis truther, Will Levis believer. So yesterday was tough for me. Now, I will say everyone tries to make a referendum of week one. Let's hold off. Let's see how the first few weeks, half of the season go. But as far as what you could want from a week one performance, it was bad. First half, he was fine. He didn't really take any like incredible deep shots, but he did what he was asked to do based on the play calling. Didn't make any mistakes. It was good. Then in the second half, it was like watching Carson Wentz play hero ball. Just dumb throw after dumb throw, rolling into pressure, and then, of course, the infamous pick six that you've probably seen on Twitter by now.
Everyone.
A
Yeah.
play so bad that he literally fell to his knees mid-play, full surrender cobra on the field while watching the Bears defender return with the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it wasn't great. There were some really good games, though. Did you
Yeah.
watch any of the Rams-Lions game last night?
Oh, yeah.
Insane.
Yes,
Insane.
those teams, I hope that's our NFC championship. And I know there's a lot better teams probably than the Rams, or a lot more favored teams to go to the NFC championship. But every time those two teams play, it's such a good game. And there's such a story there between Goff and Stafford.
I love the Goff resurgence,
Yeah.
especially in Detroit. I mean, how that whole thing went down, you remember him being a little bitter, but I think it's been quite the resurgence. Patriots-Bengals was a shocking one to a lot
Yeah.
of people. At home for the Bengals, too.
Yeah, I said the Titans had about as rough a start to the season as you
Yep.
could have. That's up there too.
Yep.
Especially when you got Jamar Chase back, you're like, okay, Jamar's playing. We got Joe fully healthy, playing the terrible, or everyone thinks terrible, Patriots, and then you just get destroyed.
Listen, it happens. Let's talk about this Cowboys-Browns game. Deshaun Watson,
Yeah.
$230 million guaranteed. He got hurt last season. They thought he was going to be healthy, ready to go. Worst quarterback performance of the week?
I think so.
I think so, too.
I really do. I mean, Levis is up there. I don't know who else would be up there, but when you consider what he's being paid and what he was supposed to be, yeah, I think he is by far the worst performance on the week.
It's not looking good. They just signed Kadarius Toney,
That'll fix everything.
which but, okay, so I don't know what the report was on David Njoku. I know he left the game.
He is. Oh shoot! I saw it this morning. I want to say he's going to miss time. I can fact check that.
So maybe here, I'll look it up real quick. But
Yeah.
maybe that's why they went and added another weapon, because you're losing David Njoku.
Yeah, but does
you
that
still
help
have Amari
you?
Cooper.
Right. Does that help you if you lose
Expected
a
to miss
tight
a
end?
couple weeks with what is a high ankle sprain.
Yeah, I don't know if adding a receiver really helps you with
No.
the Njoku injury. I don't know. I mean, their receiving room's not incredibly deep. Maybe it's just maybe they were going to do that regardless of what happened on
I mean,
Sunday.
yeah, Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper. After that, it's kind of a toss-up.
Right. But I don't think that's going to move the needle much for this team.
No, apparently, yeah, I don't know what you do. And then especially with today's news, if you have not seen, he is being sued again for kind of a totally different entity of what he was sued for back in, what year was that, 2021?
Probably. Yeah, that sounds right.
This one is actually like sexual assault of a different nature with not a masseuse therapist. So
Yeah.
definitely some serious allegations, and who knows how it all pans out. But the Browns seem to have a quarterback problem. Is that an evergreen sentence?
I don't think the Browns have a quarterback problem. I think the Browns are a quarterback problem. That is just the constant state of the franchise.
That is probably fair. Here in Atlanta, the Falcons dropped their home opener to the
Speaking
Steelers,
of quarterback problems.
18-10. Before I get on my box, what was your takeaway from this game?
So me and Bailey have talked about this a little bit, and I think we have different stances. And my stance is not, oh my God, sound the alarm, the season's over. I still would probably pick this team to win the division, but I was pretty concerned with how Kirk Cousins looked. And to me, the biggest problem was, I get it, you're playing the Steelers front seven. That might be the best front seven you face all year. First game, new scheme, new quarterback. I get it. But he looked like a statue in the pocket. And I know he's not a mobile quarterback, but I am talking 3-7-step drop, and the feet did not move at the end of that drop until the play was over. And I also saw some throws where he did not throw off of the back foot. He kind of lifted that back foot up in the air, which leaves some power on the field, and that has me a little concerned after his Achilles tear.
So I kind of have a hot take with this that I haven't discussed with you.
Okay.
Do you remember last year when it was like, women are ruining the NFL? Do you remember that? You have
I'm
to remember
so interested to see where this
okay,
is going.
but you remember that, right?
Women are ruining the
Yeah,
NFL?
it was like women in sports are ruining the sport. Like, do you remember this?
I don't remember that specific moment.
Okay, but it was like a little bit of a thing. It was either
Okay.
last year, it might have been the season before even.
What, like women on coaching staffs?
No, just women who like cover sports and women liking sports.
Interesting.
It
Okay.
was very like.
I mean, I
very
believe
dumb.
you that it happens because I see that often
Okay,
online.
well, what I'm getting at is I think men are ruining the NFL. The overreactions I saw after this game were wild. People asking for Desmond Ridder back.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
What?
That's absolutely insane.
What?
Yeah.
He was cut from the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's bad.
What?
He's not an NFL quarterback.
People wanted Arthur Smith back when people wanted him gone so quickly last year.
Yeah,
It's baffling.
That's lunacy.
I am not condoning the loss or how Kirk Cousins played. The loss is bad. Kirk Cousins played awful. Full stop. That's the end of a sentence. But I have always been very consistent when I cover the NFL. You have to give a sample size, and you have to give it through week 4.
I agree with that.
I think the expectations, because everyone was sipping the Kool-Aid, they felt a shift in Flowery Branch with Raheem Morris. Everyone was feeling great about this team. But there's also the reality of this situation. Kirk Cousins has not played a live snap in almost over a year because he was battling an injury. He's coming in with a new look offense, a first-year OC who's calling, and you have all these different entities and weapons on offense, and you also didn't play at all in preseason, which I don't think is an issue. I think that is just a weak storyline to grab at, because guess what? If you play him in preseason and he tears his ACL, you're
Yeah.
going, why are you playing starters?
Yeah, that's a no-win
It's a
situation.
moot point.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at, though, is what did you expect this to look like? You have to give it time.
Are you
He's just getting back comfortable with things. And Raheem Morris actually said today, like, how we played as a team was no indication of where Kirk Cousins' health is. He's healthy.
Yeah, he said the play calling was did not take in his health into account.
So, like, everyone's sounding the alarm. Relax.
You're saying men are too emotional?
Relax. Yeah, 100%. Men are way too emotional.
Especially when it comes to football, I will agree with you.
Okay, thank you.
No, you could not console me yesterday for about 3 hours after the Titans lost. I went and I took a shower. I wasn't even dirty. I just wanted to like stand in the shower and just
And
like
cry and moan.
yeah, just
Play
feel
some
sad.
emo music.
So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I just like, I don't, women are called, they're not reasonable, they're too emotional, and I'm just like, dude, everyone needs to relax. It's week 1. Now, where we will have a huge problem, Brett, is if Aaron Rodgers pops off tonight.
After his Achilles tear,
Then everyone needs to go on wellness retreats in the offseason and not show up for OTAs.
We're gonna need Kirk to drop the chain, start wearing healing crystals, whatever
Oh my
Aaron's
God, can you
doing.
imagine if he had like pink quartz in his locker? And,
That'd
like,
be such a shift. I'd love that.
Anyway, I'm saying everyone just take a chill pill, relax, give it some time. We will circle back in 4 weeks. You won't be here to circle back, but maybe
won't be here.
maybe
I'll be
Zoom
watching.
I'll Zoom you in for
That's fine.
sports tonight.
That's fine.
To circle back, and we can either say, yeah, this offense isn't it, Kirk is down bad, or whatever. But I just felt like that needed to be said. With all of that, let's tune into what some of the offensive players, Kirk Cousins, had to say specifically about those interceptions, the 2 interceptions he had in the game, and Bijan Robinson as well. Let's hear from them.
The way I knew Drake was breaking in there, I did see color, but I was just trying to basically put it out there, way out in front of him. But the safety was there and made a good play. In hindsight, I have to go back and watch it to really give you a good answer. But either just throw it away lower, or you take the sack, or whatever it's got to be to avoid the outcome there. And then the second one, just couldn't get anything on the ball, and that's where, again, I'll go back and watch it and be critical and say, hey, maybe you eat it, or you progress, or you dirt it, or whatever you got to do to kind of avoid the critical error of the interception.
You mentioned at the top that you need to play better. What does that mean specifically for you in terms of preparation for Philadelphia?
Yeah, your preparation, I think, is pretty much, similar, but you've got to, we got to avoid critical errors. We always say that, but we've got to do it. And, I think if we do that and we keep ourselves in manageable down and distances, I think today showed it, we can be a productive offense. And, but when we hurt ourselves, it's tough to overcome.
Were you surprised by the offense today? Were you surprised it didn't look cleaner, didn't go cleaner?
I was disappointed, certainly disappointed. You always go out there with an expectation that you're going to play at a high level, and we didn't play up to our standard today.
You never looked like you were comfortable in the pocket, and maybe that's just the way it looked. How did you feel in the pocket?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch it to give you a better answer. I think at times, was working through progressions and was like the touchdown was basically just working all the way across the field, getting to really number 4, number 5 in the progression. And a couple other times kind of working across, getting to Bijan late in the progression. So at times, click through it. And then other times, just was trying to play fast and didn't get the outcome we wanted.
Given this team's off season, will your approach this week be, okay, guys, I know it wasn't what we started, to kind of boost them back up, or will your approach be, we're just going back to work and sticking with what we've been saying all season?
I think you always come in new week, win or loss. You come in, hey, new week. We've got to have some great energy. We got to be ready to go. We got to work hard. We got to first of all, Monday, you got to go back and watch it and be critical and say, how can we be better and what can we do? And I haven't done that yet to be able to give you better answers, but that's really where it starts. And then, yeah, you got to, when you have things that happen that you didn't like, you got to say, okay, how do we prevent those from happening again, and be strategic with those answers. And that's the process of every week, yeah.
I don't know if anybody asked this before, but would preseason games have helped more, or would that have been not a non-factor?
I think it's hard to say. I think the key is that we're healthy, for week 1, and that was really the focus. And there's never excuses. You gotta be ready to go when your number's called, regardless. And that was certainly no different today.
Kirk, what is your post-game ritual, so to speak? Will you go home and have dinner and kind of take your mind off the game, or do you go home and dive right into the tape, or is that something you leave for Monday? What is your process?
I'll watch it pretty quick here to try to start to unpack what took place. Probably send a couple voice memos to coaches just to kind of give some thoughts that I have off the cuff after I watch it, just to let, and then maybe they converse back and we just kind of start to begin that analysis. But it's a process that'll go through tomorrow, and I never really sleep great after games, regardless win or loss. But you just have to move forward now, and that's the mental, physical, emotional toughness of playing the NFL. Is you got to move forward and play your best football next week, regardless of what happened today.
Talking to Chris Lyncham in the locker room, and he said we need to be better for Kirk, talking about the offensive line unit as a whole. I'm just kind of curious what steps you feel like that group needs to make to do what Chris says.
No, it's a great group, and they just battled all day, and they were great. In the huddle, getting the line of scrimmage. Chris has such great awareness. Drew does too of play clock and situations, and they're just really smart. And until I watch the film, I really can't answer that question. I think that they're battling their butts off, and I'm grateful to be able to play with them. And it's a great group that I think we'll be able to do a lot of good things here up ahead. And again, if we don't stub our toe or kind of hurt ourselves on some of these drives, I think when we saw what we can be. But it's got to be every play.
Kirk, right here. Can you just go through what happened on the fumbled snap that hit Dwelly?
Yeah, the timing was off. It's my fault of sending the motion and then asking for the ball, and the timing was off. So it's something that you have to bat 1,000, and you can't have a mistake, and we paid for it today.
And obviously, this is our first game together, but now we know how it is, and now we have a whole season now we got to execute and be comfortable with each other and go out there and just play fast.
Do you think a lack of preseason reps hurt this team in terms of getting on the same page?
I mean, obviously it's probably good to play preseason, but I think with the guys that we have, obviously we try to go out there and just do what we do. I can't really say if it does or not because obviously we didn't play, but I think this, obviously with the first game going out there, and to answer your question, I don't really know, but we should have went out there to go execute better today.
Why do you think the offense struggled in that second half to move the ball?
They're bringing pressure. With they got a very talented player in Watt, and he brought some pressure, and we were trying to just contain him. But I think it was really good, that we had him first game, and it was a great test for all of us, just because when you're playing against a guy like that, it gets us better, for these games coming up. But hats off to their defense for maintaining that pocket to get sacks and get turnovers. But this was a good one to learn from, and obviously we don't want this to happen again.
And is that the message moving forward? Hey man, just the sky's not falling. It's a long season. Just be patient.
Kind of. I mean, I don't ever want to be patient. Obviously, you got to be patient in what you want to do, but we want things to happen. Obviously now, and we want to get them going now and make sure that we're all on the same page, and so we don't have this outcome again. Because I believe if we didn't have the three turnovers, I think the game would have been different. But that can't be an excuse, and it happened, and so we got to move on and continue to grow from here.
Outside of the 3 turnovers, how do you go about finding a rhythm for this offense with a big one looming on Monday?
Yeah, I mean, it's practice. You got to go practice and obviously we're going into Philly, so they're big with the crowd and big with crowd noise. So we got to forget this one, and we got to move on to them, because if we hang on this loss, it's never good for a team. But for us, we obviously know that we have what it takes, but we gotta hone in this week, and we have a little longer week. But on Monday we got to go in there and make our presence felt.
Let's head to the college ranks. We'll start with Texas, Michigan, because we just heard from Bijan Robinson. It pains me to say it, but Texas might be the real deal.
They look good.
Sark might have been right at SEC Media Days when he said this is the best roster he's had while in Austin.
They looked really good, and it is hard to know at this point. Was that Texas being one of the best teams in the country,
or Michigan without Connor Stallions?
Yeah. Yes. You could say you could say without J.J. McCarthy. You could say without Jim Harbaugh. But yes,
No,
Michigan
Connor
without
Stallions.
Connor Stallions. Yeah, I felt like Steve Sarkisian just coached him up and down the field.
Yeah.
on Saturday. I really do.
It makes me even more excited for that Georgia-Texas game. It is going to be absolutely insane. It's
Yeah.
also the same weekend in Austin that Formula One will be there for the Circuits
Oh
of
my
America.
gosh, is it really?
Oh, tickets and hotels are impossible to find. We booked ours in May and still had to pay like a small fortune.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's going to be electric.
It's going to be wild. I'm going to give you like a minute to talk about Tennessee.
A minute to talk about the Vols?
Go.
Oh, wow. I mean, what can I say? We're probably the third best team in the SEC. You got Texas, Georgia. I'm not going to argue with you Dogs fans. After that, I think Tennessee's better than Ole Miss. I think Tennessee's better than Alabama. Did you see that USF game? I think Tennessee is better than Missouri. Come on. Nico is going to win at least one Heisman.
Do you know how to say his name?
Nico, I do have to pause and gather myself
Think about
a bit.
it.
Nico Iamaleava. Iamaleava.
That sounds right.
Yes, that's
Wow,
it. You really have to like gather yourself before you say it, though.
I will never say that name on air. It will strictly be Nico because I know I will mess it up.
I used to think that about Tua, but now I can do it.
No, Tua Tagovailoa.
It just takes repetition.
And I used to think about that with Giannis Antetokounmpo too.
Ooh, see, I still say Giannis.
Got to practice it.
Yeah.
UGA gets their first SEC road test. They head to Kentucky, who just got throttled by South Carolina. I think it's safe to say the Cats may not be the Wildcats we thought they may be.
Did we all think they were going to be?
They had a decent run game last year.
They did. They did have a good run game. But yeah, I mean, so far, I really haven't watched much of them this year, so I don't want to talk too much on them, but it has not looked like what I thought it would look like.
Well, let's head to Georgia head coach Kirby Smart and what he had to say heading into this week's matchup.
To work yesterday and put that game to bed, and started on Kentucky yesterday afternoon, and have immense respect for Mark. He and I have grown to be really good friends. He's one of the best in the business. He's done a tremendous job at Kentucky over the time he's been there. His teams are always very disciplined, very physical. That's a really tough place to play when you go there, as you can see from every time we've played there. It's been really tough. So a lot of excitement playing an SEC opponent on the road. I think we know around this place how hard that can be, and you get an opportunity to play at night on the road, and you know the environment's going to be really loud, and we got to prepare for a tough, really physical game, which is just that way every time we play Kentucky.
Yeah, Coach, I'm curious, when you guys went to go to prepare for Brock, or when you're preparing for Brock, how much of that, plan to attack him or defend him will be based on what he's put on tape this year and what he did for years, behind closed doors here?
Very little. I have a lot of respect for Brock, his dad, his family. What Brock did for this university was awesome. He was a wonderful teammate and just a great kid. Always put the team first and would do anything to help the team, and really helped our culture while he was here. So I have a lot of appreciation for what he did, and in fact, he graduated from here. It's really cool when he told me he was going to do that, and then he was going to go play, and he did that.
Coach, I know obviously, it's true that any SEC road game is going to be tough, but when you play an opponent like Kentucky who's coming off a game like they did, does that make them even more dangerous than what they might ordinarily be?
I don't know. I think it's all about perception and how you perceive things. They're just as dangerous whether they won or lost that game, in my opinion. I mean, I don't get into the whole. We're going to prepare the same way regardless of what happened in that game. A lot of things went wrong quickly for them in that game, and it snowballed in some ways. And I know what they're capable of. I've seen them on tape. I know the football players they got. I know how physical they are. I know how they're coached. And we got to get ready for a really tough opponent.
Harry, to follow up on Brock, just what are his strengths? What are the things you guys are going to see when you guys line up against him on Saturday?
I think we'll see. I think that's part of their identity is figuring out who Brock is, and as well as their other quarterbacks that's playing. So I think that's something that they got to answer, and our job is to stop whatever they do, and we got to work hard on that. We got to worry about us.
Coach, obviously the transfer portal is here to stay, I guess. Can you give us just a little bit of idea with Brock and Pop, just kind of or not necessarily them, but what it looks like each year as you evaluate and you meet with these guys, and whether they say I'm thinking about this, coach, or you say we're thinking about this, just what's that process look like annually?
I think it's different each kid. You know, like every kid's different. Every kid's in a different spot. You know, like what age am I? How much am I playing? Will I get an opportunity somewhere else? What's going on with my family dynamic? I don't think there's a cookie cutter answer to that question. It's, you know, I wouldn't delve into specifically each kid that I deal with. I think that's relative to me and the kid, not for public consumption. But certainly there's conversations I had, and you know, the transfer portal is an option for some guys to think about going somewhere else. And you know, it's unfortunate because the feedback we get from the NFL is there's nowhere they'd rather have players than here developing. Countless GMs have told me the kids that come out of your program are so much better off and developed for having stayed, even over playing, because of what kind of practice they get and who they get to go against practice. They feel like their best evaluation is when they come to our practice and see guys go against each other. That's not anything directly at Brock and Pop, not at all. Both those guys were awesome young men, great young men for our program, but just as a whole, asking about transfer portal stuff.
Coach, what is it that Kentucky does so well and makes it a challenge for you guys when you go up there each time?
Physical. So you play defense. You have physical lines of scrimmage. You have huge people on the offensive and defensive line, and you're hard to move the ball on. So the environment they create is very good. They got great fans. They got a great stadium. They've reduced their stadium to have more premium seating, so they actually get less people in, but they're louder when they're there. They're passionate. They play really hard. They're well coached. That's what makes it tough.
Coach, give me your thoughts on Deion Walker for Kentucky.
Yeah, extremely physical, versatile player, can play inside out. Seems like he's been there forever. He's a kid we recruited, highly recruited kid, tremendous athlete, just like a wrecking ball. I mean, he literally can wreck a play from any position, and I mean they even dropped him last year, and so he's a tremendous athlete.
Kirby, I know we're a few days out, but when do you start looking at the weather in terms of affecting the game plan? Thunderstorms, 75% chance or more, and how that affects what you guys want to do and what can you do?
Yeah, we look at it last night and start tracking it each and every day. We do every 2 weeks wet ball drill and practice with wet balls, and like we're going to play in the rain, and we've been able to practice some this year a couple times in the rain. And sometimes the weather up there, typically it's later in the year we play them, and typically it's much colder, which we've had some really tough games up there in the cold, in the wind. This year it looks like there may be some inclement weather, and we've got to prepare for it. So.
Yeah, Kirby, two questions. One, do you know any more about Oscar's ankle after he got dinged up on Saturday? And two, with Lawson, just how far has he progressed this year? He's made a big play in the passing game each of the first 2 weeks.
Oscar's good. Oscar's fine. Lawson is done really well. He would have had the same progression. He got injured last year in camp, and so he missed some time with that significant ankle injury he had. But he's been growing since the time he came back last year, and he wasn't really 100% when he came back to play, but he was able to play, and he was coming off that high ankle, and he got better and better as the year went on. Had good bowl practices, good bowl game. He had great spring practice. He's worked really hard at the things he's got to improve on during fall camp, and he continues to work to get better.
So how we end this show every time is what is on your mind. Would you like to go first?
Did you know I invented this? The What's on Your Mind?
Did you? I actually didn't know that.
Before you got here, I was part of the task force, whatever, that came up with this show. And I needed to be able to fill 5 topics every night. And sometimes that's easier than others, just depending on what time of year it is. I was like, let's give ourselves a free one every night and just say, what's on your mind?
It's consistent.
Yeah.
I like
so that's
that.
that's a Brett staple. So I'll say that's what's on my mind since I'm leaving here in 5 days. It's my legacy.
It is your legacy, and we're going to keep it going. We'll bring you back on the show whenever you want to call in.
I don't know how
it's
that'll
your
work with my new contract, but sure.
What's on my mind? Tyreek Hill getting arrested before the game and then celebrating with the arms behind the back.
That was awesome.
We were actually just watching while Kirby was talking the police video getting released. We'll have to watch it again, but it looked a little aggressive.
Yeah, I don't want to comment before seeing the full video, but I think there was some things in the little bit I saw that were concerning. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that will do it for this Monday edition of Sports Tonight. Make sure to tune in throughout the rest of the week. We'll have great shows for you. But for tonight, for Brett, I'm Bailey. You all have a great night.
See you guys.